Greetings friends. Thanks for stopping by for a visit. If you enjoy the video, please subscribe.
I'm not really the type to post stories online, and I'm definitely not the type to jump to aliens whenever something weird happens. I've lived in rural Idaho my whole life. I know what's in the woods and what isn't. I know the difference between a cougar scream and a fox bark, what headlights look like through fog, and how shadows slide when the moon dips behind clouds. Out here you get used to strange noises and stranger coincidences. You learn not to scare yourself over nothing. But the last 18 months on my family's property have been different. Different in a way I can't chalk up to wildlife or stress or imagination. Different in a way that's made me finally sit down and write this out. Even though I know half the people reading will think I'm either lying or losing it. I don't care. I'm posting this for the handful of you who've been through something similar, because what's been happening feels directed. Not random. Not passive. Like someone, or something, has been coming back to check on us. I live on 40 acres that originally belonged to my grandparents. Over time it got split between my brother and me. My cabin sits toward the north tree line, tucked against a stand of pines. My brother's place is a few hundred yards south, closer to the old hayfield. We can't see each other's houses through the trees, but if one of us fires up a chainsaw or yells loud enough, the other will hear it. We're both outdoorsmen. We grew up hunting elk together, fixing our own fence lines, patrolling the property on four-wheelers. Nothing about the land scares us. Nothing ever felt off. That changed late last fall. My brother started mentioning strange things before I ever saw them myself. He'd say he thought someone was standing near the barn one night, or that he saw a person cross through the field, but only out of the corner of his eye. He'd laugh it off and blame the long hours at work or too much bourbon after dinner. And I'd laugh with him. We're both middle-aged and have seen enough in life to know the mind can play tricks. But when it started happening to me, the tone of the jokes changed. At first it was nothing. A flicker of movement by the woodpile. A shape where one shouldn't be. A sense, instinctive and physical, of someone standing just behind me, disappearing the moment I turned. I wrote it off, same as he did. A trick of the light. A trick of fatigue. A trick of the imagination. Then came the night that pushed things beyond what I could ignore. It was mid-November, temperature dropping fast. The kind of clear night where the stars look sharp enough to cut you. I stepped outside around 10:30 to lock up the shed. The moon was bright enough that I didn't need a flashlight, and the yard had that soft silver glow where every object casts a long, thin shadow. Halfway to the shed, I felt the first prickling on the back of my neck, like I wasn't alone out there. It wasn't fear so much as awareness, that hunter's instinct that someone is watching. I slowed down, scanning the yard. Nothing, just the dark outline of the fence, the black tree line, my breath clouding in the cold air. I kept walking. Out of the corner of my eye, something shifted, just a flicker, like a person stepping sideways into my peripheral vision. I snapped my head around, but the space was empty. The dog, who had followed me halfway from the porch, stopped dead. His ears were up, tail stiff, staring at the same spot where I thought I'd seen movement. I told him to knock it off, but my voice didn't sound convincing, not even to me. I finished locking the shed and started back toward the house. That's when I saw them. 3 figures standing at the edge of the property, just past the last fence post near the trees. At first I thought it had to be people, tall, very thin silhouettes, motionless and upright. The moonlight hit something reflective on each of their faces, like glass or wet metal. They weren't walking or swaying. They weren't doing anything, just standing there. My first thought, honestly, was that it was a neighbor messing around or a couple of teenagers from town trying to scare someone. The problem is, you don't prank people way out where we live. Folks have guns, dogs, and a healthy distrust of strangers. I took one step toward them, squinting, trying to see features. As soon as I shifted my weight forward, the figures vanished. Not walked away, not ran, not ducked. They just blinked out, as if someone cut them out of reality with scissors. I froze. My dog, usually fearless, whimpered, tucked his tail, and bolted back to the porch. The property fell dead silent. No wind, No rustling branches, no crickets. Even the distant hum of the highway, which you can usually hear at night, was gone. Silence, so absolute it felt like pressure in my ears. I don't know how long I stood there. Maybe 30 seconds. Maybe 5 minutes. My brother texted me right then, a weird coincidence, asking if I'd been outside near his place. He said he thought he saw someone tall and skinny, standing near his driveway, but when he looked again, nothing was there. I didn't tell him what I saw until the next morning. When I described the figures, he got quiet, said the same reflective-face thing had shown up once or twice for him, but he assumed it was light hitting a person's glasses or something. But we don't have neighbors close enough for that, and we both knew it. After that night, the activity didn't stop. It escalated, and it spread. We started finding dead zones of silence in places that were normally full of animal noise. The dog refused to go into the yard after sunset. My brother mentioned waking up with the feeling someone had been standing right next to the bed. None of it compared to what came later. But that night, that was when I realized something was wrong on our land. Something was watching, and it wasn't done with us. The second encounter happened in early spring, right as the snowmelt was turning everything into mud. My brother and I had spent most of the day clearing dead branches along the fence line after a storm took out part of the old barbed wire. By the time we finished, the sun was dropping behind the ridge, and the temperature was falling fast. We were standing near the edge of the hayfield, just shooting the breeze, before heading back to our cabins. The field was still patchy with snow, the kind that holds the last of winter even when the rest of the world has moved on. The sky was clear, dark blue fading to black, stars starting to blink into place one by one. That's when my brother stopped mid-sentence and pointed upward. At first I thought he was pointing at a plane. There's an air corridor way off to the south, and you can sometimes see commercial jets faintly at night, moving slow and steady. But these weren't plane lights. 3 white-blue orbs hovered maybe 100 feet over the far end of the hayfield. They were arranged in a loose triangle, not moving, not blinking, not making a sound. "Drones?" my brother asked, but the tone in his voice said he didn't believe it. "Whose?" I said. "Out here." We just stood there watching them. After 20 or 30 seconds, the lights shifted formation, smooth, controlled, deliberate. The bottom light rose upward until all 3 were perfectly horizontal in a straight line. No wobble, no drift, no sound. I felt it in my gut first, not fear, but a kind of internal click, like something in me recognized what I was looking at even if my mind didn't. It was the same sensation as the night I saw the figures near the fence, only stronger and sharper. My brother whispered, "They're watching us." I don't know why, but I believed him immediately. I dug into my coat pocket and pulled out my flashlight. The moment the beam hit the field, the lights reacted. They didn't blink or dim. They rearranged again, this time into a perfect triangle, but flipped upside down, like the point was facing toward us. That's when the sound started. Except calling it a sound isn't quite right. It was more like a pressure deep inside the skull, a low-frequency vibration that didn't travel through the air, so much as through bone. My eyes watered. My brother pressed a hand to his temple. I shut off the flashlight. The vibration eased, but didn't go away. We took a few steps back instinctively. The lights moved in tandem, drifting forward maybe 20 or 30 feet, but forward in a straight line, without any rise or fall, like they were sliding across an invisible rail. The field didn't light up beneath them despite how bright they were. The light didn't behave like light at all. It was contained, self-bound, as if it existed only around the orbs themselves. My brother muttered, "We should go inside." But his feet didn't move. Mine didn't either. A cold wave rolled over us, sharp enough to make the hair on my arms stand up under my jacket. The dogs at both our places started barking at the same time, a frantic, panicked barking that echoed across the property. They never bark like that unless something is very wrong. The lights stopped moving when the barking started. They hovered there, silent again, bright enough now that I could see the edges of the trees silhouetted against them. Then something stepped into view at the far side of the hayfield. A tall shape, humanoid but wrong, too long in the limbs, too narrow across the chest. It stood just at the line where the field met the beginning of the woods. The lights behind it cast its entire body in silhouette. No features, no details, just a black figure framed by cold blue white. It didn't walk forward. It didn't raise its arms. It didn't make any gesture that I could decipher as communication or threat. It just stood there, still, watching. I felt the pressure behind my eyes intensify, and for a second I had the sickening sense that something above the lights, not the lights themselves, was paying attention to me. Something outside my line of sight. Something higher up. I whispered, "Do you see it?" My brother's voice cracked when he answered, "Yes." Then the figure leaned forward, not a step, just a slight tilt of the upper body, curious or analyzing, like someone peering through a window. That broke whatever held my brother in place. He grabbed my sleeve. "We're going. Now." We backed away slowly until we hit the gravel drive, then turned and walked fast, almost running, toward his cabin. Neither of us dared look back at the field until we were inside with the door locked. From the window, the lights were gone. No movement, no sound, no fading trail. Just an empty field. The next morning, we went out to check the area. We found something neither of us had ever seen on our land before. A perfect circle of dead grass, 8 or 9 feet across, near the middle of the field. Every blade inside it brittle and yellowed, every blade outside perfectly normal. A clean border like it had been cut with a compass. No footprints, no tire marks, nothing disturbed. My brother didn't joke about the sightings after that. He admitted he'd been waking up at night with the feeling someone was standing beside his bed. He admitted that sometimes he heard movement in the house, but could never find the source. He admitted he wasn't convinced these things were only watching me. But even then, neither of us understood how much worse it would get. Only the last encounter made it undeniably real. The missing time, the scar, and that one still keeps me awake most nights. The last encounter happened at the tail end of summer. One of those late August nights when the heat finally breaks and the air feels thin and cool again. I'd spent the whole evening working in the shed sharpening tools, not thinking about anything unusual. In fact, things had been quiet for a few weeks. No lights, no figures, no dead silent patches of forest. Nothing but the feeling that something was lurking behind the curtain, waiting. Looking back, I think the quiet was the warning. Around 11:30 p.m., I went to bed. I remember doing all the normal things, plugging in my phone, closing the curtains, making sure the porch door was locked, checking the back window to see if the dog had come inside. I lay down, more tired than usual, and stared at the ceiling for a minute or two. The next memory I have is cold air. Not just cool, cold enough that my teeth were chattering before I was fully awake. I opened my eyes and found myself sitting upright on the wooden porch bench outside my cabin, barefoot, in only a t-shirt and shorts, hands resting neatly, palms up, on my thighs as if someone had arranged them that way. I didn't remember getting up. I didn't remember opening the door. I didn't remember stepping outside, walking across the porch, or sitting down. It felt like I'd blinked and teleported into the night. For a long few seconds, I couldn't move. My brain was trying to boot back up, trying to understand where I was. The porch light was off. The moon was behind the clouds. Everything was dim. Only the faint glow from the kitchen window behind me, seeping through the curtains. My thoughts were slow and jumbled, like trying to think underwater. The world felt muffled, distant. Even my own heartbeat sounded strange, too steady, too soft. Then I realized the porch door behind me was closed and locked from the inside. There was no possible way I could have shut it after walking out here. That's when adrenaline kicked through the fog. I stood up, stumbling, grabbing the railing because my legs felt foreign, like they were mine but not responding right away. My skin had goosebumps all over it, and there was a faint metallic taste in my mouth, almost like blood or copper pipes. Inside the cabin, the clock on the stove said 3:14 a.m. I had been outside for almost 4 hours. Missing time. Real missing time. Not fell asleep on the couch and woke up confused, missing time. My phone lit up as soon as I walked past it. A text from my brother, sent at 2:51 a.m. Are you awake? Something's wrong. I swear something was in my room again. I didn't answer. I couldn't answer. My hands were shaking too much to type. When I went to the bathroom to splash water on my face, another detail hit me. The strongest one. The one that made me physically lean against the sink in shock. There was a mark on my leg. A scar. About 3 inches long, running down the outside of my left calf. Straight, neat, perfectly healed, pale pink in the middle, white at the edges. It looked like a surgical incision months after the fact, not something fresh. The skin around it wasn't swollen or red. There was no scab, no irritation, no tenderness. But it absolutely had not been there the day before. I stood in the bathroom under the bright overhead light, running my fingers over the scar, trying to find any explanation. An injury I forgot, a scrape from working outside, something. But the skin told the truth. This wasn't a cut. It wasn't an accident. This was a procedure. And it had healed impossibly fast. The numbness around the incision wasn't like normal healed skin either. It felt different. Dead feeling, in a way that made my stomach twist. I didn't sleep the rest of the night. When the sun finally came up, I walked over to my brother's place. He looked like hell. Dark circles under his eyes. Jittery. Jumpy at every noise. He said he woke up to the feeling of someone standing right beside his bed. He didn't see anything when he sat up, but he had the same metallic taste in his mouth. When I showed him my leg, he went pale. He didn't say anything for a long time. Then he rolled up his right pant leg and showed me a mark on his thigh. Same length, same pale, surgical look, but much older, faded, nearly blended into his skin. I thought it was just from an old injury, he said quietly, but I can't remember how I got it. Neither of us said the word abduction. Neither of us said extraterrestrial. You don't want to jump to conclusions like that. You want to stay grounded, rational, sane. But what's the rational explanation? My dog refused to go anywhere near the porch for a week afterward. He'd walk around it in a wide arc, hugging the far side of the yard, watching the door like something dangerous lived behind it. The lights didn't come back. The figures didn't return. But we felt watched, intensely watched for weeks. A constant prickle, like a hand hovering just above the back of your neck without touching. Every night had that charged, electric quiet that makes the air feel thick. My sleep became shallow, fragmented. I'd wake up at random hours, sure that someone had just moved out of the room a moment before. My brother started sleeping with the bedside lamp on. I started keeping my boots by the bed, just in case I woke up somewhere I shouldn't be again. 2 days after the incident, a patch of grass behind the cabin turned yellow overnight. A perfect rectangle this time, maybe 4 by 6 feet, as if something heavy had lain there. The dog wouldn't go near that either. I kept thinking about the position of my hands. Palms up, resting gently on my thighs. Who places someone that way? Why? Everything about that night felt intentional, methodical, clinical. Whatever happened wasn't chaotic or violent. It wasn't messy. It was controlled, like a routine, a checkup, a follow-up, a continuation of something that started long before I was aware of it. A week later, I made an appointment with my doctor. I didn't tell him the real reason. I just said I found a scar I couldn't explain and wanted to make sure it wasn't something serious. He examined it for maybe 20 seconds before saying, "Looks like old surgical work, months old at least." He asked who did it and why. I had no answer. His confusion didn't help my nerves, but it confirmed what I already knew. Whatever happened wasn't human normal. After that, the activity tapered off, like a storm after a lightning strike. The silence returned. No lights, no figures, no waking on the porch. But something in me had changed. It wasn't fear, though there was plenty of that. It was awareness, like the world had gotten bigger overnight, and I was still trying to find my place in it. I started noticing things I never noticed before. Patterns in animal behavior, subtle shifts in the night air. The way the tree leaned sometimes looked darker than it should. My brother said he felt it too. We don't talk about it much. Maybe we're afraid saying it out loud will make it come back. Or maybe some part of us knows it's not gone at all, just waiting for the next time. I'm posting this because I don't know what else to do. I don't know who to talk to who won't look at me like I've lost my mind. I know what missing time is. I know what surgical scars look like. I know what it feels like when someone is standing inches away from you in the dark. If anyone reading this has had something similar happen, waking up outdoors, scars that appear healed overnight, shared encounters across family members. I'm asking because I need to know. Does it stop? Or is it only the beginning?
Thanks for watching. If you want to hear more stories like these, please like and subscribe.